Finance. We are so glad that you are here with us tonight. Just in case you missed it, Deeper Learning Series number 2 on finance. We have some great information for you tonight. We will have time for questions too. So if you have any questions, there is a little box on the side that you can put your questions in, or you can feel free to text me your questions. Most of you have my information. It's kind of out there in the universe. Or you can shoot me. Emails are hard because I'm not really checking, but text messages I will definitely see. They will pop up. So I am so pleased tonight to share with you our 2 main financial officers for Council PTA. First is the amazing Council Auditor, Erin Hester.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for being here.
And secondly is our amazing Council Treasurer, Liza Diaz-Poklodowski. You gotta talk, Liza.
Oh, hi, everybody. I didn't know I had to talk first. Hope everybody's having a good evening.
Isn't technology fun until it's not fun?
Yeah.
All right. So I am going to be sharing my screen. Hold on one second while I get our PowerPoint loaded. And you're going to see my beautiful screen for just a second. And where did my, oh, here it is. Okay. And here we go. All right, Erin, you want to talk about the agenda?
Sure. So our agenda for this evening is to start by welcoming you all here. We're glad that you could join us tonight. And if you're watching this later, that's wonderful too, because it means you're wanting to learn more about finance side of PTA. So tonight we're going to go over what the job of the financial officer entails, the do's and don'ts of PTA finance, how to handle petty cash, the hospitality budget, what to provide for an audit, and then finish the night with any questions you may have. If you have questions while we are going through this presentation, you can type them in or you can text Heather. Okay. So do you want me to continue?
Yeah, tell them a little bit about yourself.
All right. So I'm Erin Hester. I'm the San Clarita Valley Council Auditor. I have served in PTA in numerous roles for about 12 years now. Currently, I'm the president at my youngest daughter's school. She is in 6th grade, so this year will be my last year at the unit level. At the district level as the auditor as well, but my favorite position of all is treasurer. So finance as a PTA is my passion. On a more personal level, I've been married to my soulmate for 16 years, and we have 3 children ages 20, 12, and 11.
All right, Liza, your turn.
Hi, everybody. It's Liza Diaz-Poklodowski. Your Santa Clarita Council Treasurer. I only currently sit on the council board. I don't sit on a unit level at this time. My sons, there's 2 of them there, please forget that, go to Pine Tree Community School. We love Pine Tree. It's an amazing school. I am the mother of 6 kids, 18, 16, 11, 4, and 2 2.5-year-old girls.
And you have been a unit president before.
I have been a unit president. I was on the unit level, I was unit president for 2 years. And prior to that, I was Ways and Means.
Awesome. So everybody here has lots of experience. So you are definitely in good hands.
All right. So the role of the financial officer, mainly to maintain permanent record of, or to track unit funds and financial transactions. Chair budget committee and prepare the annual budget for adoption by the association. And for any treasurers that might be joining us tonight, it's important that you are part of that budget committee, because who better knows the funds of the unit than you?
And really quickly, it's also a really good idea to have the new treasurer and the old treasurer both sit on the budget committee, because they both work so intimately with that document that it's helpful to hear from the person who's lived with it for the past year. And it's really helpful for the person who's about to inherit it for the next year.
Right, exactly. You are to pay all bills as authorized by the board or the association. So funds are not dispersed or paid until they are approved not just by the board, but by the association too. Usually I cover this more in depth in my financial trainings, but if you have any questions, we'd be glad to answer them.
And there are a couple of exceptions to that, though. Basic operating expenses like paying your insurance and remitting membership do not have to be approved by the association prior to cutting that check. Yes. They will show up in your treasurer's report, so they will be ratified and the association will see them. But those are things that you have to do. You have to have insurance. It's not negotiable. They can't decide that they're going to opt out this year of insurance. So there are certain things that just the board can authorize, but most of your expenditures have to be approved by both.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And then ensure taxes and reports required by PTA, insurance, or federal and state governments are completed and submitted by the due dates. So taxes are always due by November 15th. They can be done by yourself. They can be done through a CPA. I know a lot of units use a CPA. So if you haven't already got that process going, you need to do so now.
And Liza, you were offering to help units, is that correct?
Yes, I am able to help units. It is a fairly quick process. Just make sure you have your annual financial reports, and it's pretty painless. We can knock it out in the afternoon at Starbucks.
Awesome. There was one other thing that I wanted to say, and now so the permanent records, this is really important, and this is something that sometimes confuses units, is you need to keep all of your treasurer's reports, or at least a ledger, in a bound book that permanently stays with your unit. Just the checkbook is not enough. It has to be bound. Now, PTA does sell treasurer's logs. You can go to capta.org to the PTA store and buy some, or you can just have your own book and glue them in, or you can take them to an office supply store and have them bound. But they cannot be just in a 3-ring binder. They have to be bound and glued, because they are permanent records and we can't lose those things. So please make sure, if right now you're in a 3-ring binder, that you are moving over to something bound. Liza, can you talk about the treasurer's reports real fast and just kind of the basics of those, what they need to include and how you do them?
Yes, I can.
Awesome.
So the one thing that keeps coming up, and I hear a lot about the treasurer's report, is the amounts when it's being done. It should go from meeting to meeting. It does not have to match your books perfectly. Your bank balance perfectly. It has to match your books perfectly. But your bank balance might be off because of a check not clearing. So it's from meeting to meeting. So from your beginning, if it's for association meeting, it's your last association meeting, and all transactions that happen until your next association meeting. Any deposits, checks written, it all has to be included. Also, something that I've noticed, and we were guilty of it in our unit too, is when you do your treasurer's report, you are supposed to take out the money that you are remitting to council. That is not money that belongs to you for your membership. So be sure to have a line that says money's not...
Funds not belonging to unit.
Funds.
Yes,
yeah.
Funds not belonging to unit. Yes, so that you know what is being remitted up to council.
Awesome. And that's something that we do see a lot. People get confused. Well, why do we have 2 different treasurer's reports? And the reason is because the executive board has to meet every month. They are fiduciarily responsible for everything that happens. And the other thing about that is that the association doesn't necessarily meet every month. So they might have 2 months in between of their meetings, or 2.5. So the reason we have 2 different treasurer's reports is so that everybody can be staying on top of what happens. Everything is transparent. We don't hide anything. It's all there for them to see. I want to talk about one other thing that Liza mentioned about the bank statement reconciliation. And that's, like Liza said, that's a question that we get asked all the time. And she's right. It doesn't necessarily match your treasurer's reports, but you do, and Liza, and either Liza or Erin can speak more to this, you do have to do a bank statement reconciliation, but that is separate from your treasurer's reports. That is different than your treasurer's reports. So Erin, can you just talk for 1 second about that?
Yeah, I can. In reconciling your bank statement, it's going to help you find any errors that you may have entered if you're using a QuickBooks program or a Quicken program or even PTA EZ. Anything, or even if you're just tracking it, you know, through an Excel document, anything that you had entered as you were entering the different transactions, you will catch if you made an error when you reconcile, because you're going to check that what you have entered has cleared the bank. It also gives you an idea of what hasn't cleared the bank yet. So if something is outstanding for a few months, you can check in on that. So it helps. And by doing that, if you're reconcile the bank statement, it will help you balance your treasurer's report.
Awesome.
And then can I add one more
Please
quick
do.
thing on treasurer's reports?
Yeah.
I notice a lot in our audits that bank fees and other fees, they're just simply adding the checks and the deposits. Anything that comes through the bank account has to be added, and it's added into your ledger as well as to your treasurer's reports.
And that's especially important for you folks who are doing PayPal or Square or those other kinds of things that have fees attached. Even though those fees are getting taken out on their end, they're still impacting your bottom line. So you need to make sure that those things are also included in your financial statements. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
For us, at least.
Okay, well, good. Yay.
All right. So you want me to continue?
Sure.
All right. So the dues of PTA, things you need to do. Remit your membership monthly to council. It's easier to track it promptly. And by remitting at least monthly, your unit isn't going to miss out on opportunities for awards. You're not going to make a mistake in how much you've remitted. It just keeps a better track of what membership is coming in and when you're remitting it. Submitting a treasurer's report for every...
Before we move on from membership, because that's one of my passions, you also qualify for awards and incentives, which is part of the reason why every president got an email from me last night about, oh my goodness, several of you have not remitted your membership. We have to get that to district, and then district has to send that up to state in a really timely manner to qualify everybody for Ready, Set, Remit or whatever other membership incentives that they are offering. So if you just make it a part of your, maybe at every executive board meeting or every association meeting or whatever's easiest for you, if once a month you write that membership check, because we're hoping that membership continues to come in all year long. But if you're just checking to make sure that you're getting that to us, there are remittance forms on our beautiful new website. Well, it's not so new, but I'm calling it new because it really launched this year, scvpta.org. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot what it was called. scvpta.org. And if you go to resources in that tab, there's a lot of really great things. And one of them is you can print the remittance form, and it has our PO box address on there. Or you can make arrangements with Liza or myself, and we can grab the checks from you as well. All right, sorry about that. Keep going.
Okay. No, that's fine. So we did touch on the treasurer's report, doing an executive board one and association one from meeting to meeting. Always counting money with 2 or more people, one being a board member, but both being PTA members. I see this a lot in audits. You need to have 2 people counting, and that cash verification form needs to be signed by at least 2 people.
And folks, the reason is that's an insurance thing. They both need to be PTA members so that they are covered under our PTA insurance. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the treasurer and the president who are counting everything, or the chairperson and the ways and means person. Or it just needs to be 2 PTA members. One should be a board member. you know, in a pinch, if your principal is a PTA member, you can call them in to help count. I've done that before. If, you know, if we need to get something to the bank, as long as they're a PTA member, then they can help us count.
Exactly. All right. Signature of President and Secretary on all payment authorization forms, or as we refer to them, PAFs. This is a must.
And it should happen before the check is written.
Yes. Yes. Before you write your check. Again, reconcile each bank statement, helps you catch errors, and then make deposits in a timely manner. You should be depositing each week as money's coming in. Funds should be deposited in the same week, and any board member can make a deposit.
And that's a really important one that's come up a lot lately. Erin and I have both talked to a lot of people about that. If your treasurer is out of commission or on vacation or something, don't just leave the money sitting around. Any board member is allowed to go do that, which is why your whole board should understand where the bank is and how to do a deposit properly, so that should you need to, you're able to do that to help them out.
That's right. All right.
Oh my gosh! Oh, we finished this one. Wow, we're going great.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I'm like, yeah. Okay. Here we go.
I need to pay attention to the PowerPoint. Sorry.
That's okay. I was going to say next slide.
I know it's so hard to find good help these days.
The PTA. All right. Don't sign a check until you have the PAF and receipt in hand, which is something we just mentioned. Check those receipts against the PAF. It's not a matter of not trusting those who present you with a PAF. You're the final stop before a check is written. You're the custodian of the PTA funds. So you need to verify that what was given to you is correct. And, you know, sometimes we make mistakes and we write the wrong amounts, or we forget to add something. It's your job to catch those mistakes, to catch those discrepancies before you write that check. So don't be afraid to check the receipts if someone's handing you a PAF.
Especially if there are multiple receipts, it's a really good idea to pull out that calculator and check, because sometimes, you know, we know this happens all the time. You know, you're adding real fast. You've got the kids running around you. You know, you've got 30 things on your mind in your to-do list, and you accidentally invert two numbers, which has happened to me before when I've submitted receipts accidentally. Fortunately, it was only on the change part and not on the dollar part, but they have still continued to tease me about it for the past 2 years. So just make sure that you are checking those things.
Yeah. Don't use PTA funds to purchase individual gifts for staff or PTA members. No gift cards or alcohol can be purchased with PTA funds.
And this is something that comes up again and again and again, and I'm just going to hop in again. I said I wasn't going to talk a lot on this, but sorry, I've talked a lot. This is one that kind of blows people's minds. And this is not a new rule. This is not my rule. This is one of those, we are a 501c3 nonprofit. And so there are certain things that we cannot do with our funds. Individual gifts are things like inbox gifts for your teachers during staff appreciation. While it sounds great and we all completely appreciate what our teachers do, we can't use the funds for those things. Or if one of your PTA members, let's say one of their parents pass away, we can't buy flowers for them. In those cases, we can do what's called pass the hat, where you ask every board member, again, it's totally optional. Hey, if we each kick in $5, we can buy flowers for that person. You can ask local businesses for donations, which is what we do at our school. So they donate gift cards or gift certificates or products, and we either give those to our staff or we raffle them off to our staff in an opportunity drawing. My favorite thing to do is go to PTA convention and wait till that last day and stock all the vendors and take their stuff back and use those for your staff appreciation, because it's all free. But just so you know, you cannot use your funds to purchase gift cards for any reason, as a prize for the kids, as anything. Gift cards are a no-no. They are non-traceable, non-trackable, and you cannot do that. And the other thing that's come up is alcohol. And somebody said, well, council has alcohol at their meeting. Well, no, we don't. So I don't know where that started, but no, we don't. At our installation dinner, there is sometimes a cash bar. However, that is off campus, and that is completely optional. We never, ever use PTA funds for alcohol of any kind. So just keep that in mind. If you want to have one of your executive board meetings at a dinner, that would be lovely. Go out to a restaurant. But each person should pay for their own dinner, and each person should definitely pay for their own alcohol. And we'll talk about that a little bit more when we talk about hospitality in just a second.
Yeah. The don'ts is to, you're not allowed to have an ATM card for the PTA bank account. That is never an okay. Don't take money home with you or leave it in your car. If you cannot immediately get to the bank, have a safe and secure place at school to lock it up. One of the things that PTA recommends is that you have your own lockbox that would be mounted to a secure wall in the school, preferably in the office, somewhere where it's out in the open. Never hidden like in a PTA room where it's just you alone in the room. If you don't have one, the board and the association that the PTA purchases one, but do your homework first. Look for something that you can present to the board and the cost of that particular lockbox, and get permission from the school, because the school will be the one mounting it for you. Boxes come with 2 keys only, so the only 2 people who should hold those keys at any time would be any 2 of the signers on the bank account. No one in the office. Usually the president and either the treasurer or one of the other check signers would be the ones. Well, definitely the treasurer, because they're the one that need to have access. But that's our recommendation. If you don't do a lockbox, then you need to have a safe or someplace where you can lock the money up if you're not getting to the bank immediately.
And someone asked about harvest festivals or evening events, where, you know, you have obviously a lot of money if you have a really successful festival. Many banks do offer like a one-time night deposit where you can get a key from them to take your money and deposit immediately. That's what PTA would recommend, because we don't want a lot of money sitting around for any length of time. So if at all possible, if you can work it out with your bank to figure out a night deposit, that would be awesome.
Yeah. I think so.
Oh, and just so you know, insurance won't cover you. So let's say that you take the money home or you lock it in the trunk of your car and something happens to that. Our insurance policy will not cover that. They will cover you if something happens between the school and the bank, as long as you were just making a straight line between the school and the bank. If you went from the school to Target to the gym to the post office to the bank and something happened, they won't cover you. But if you literally go from the school to the bank and, you know, a T-Rex picks up your car and throws it in a ravine, they will cover that. So.
Right. That's exactly it.
Awesome.
Lastly, don't sign checks issued to yourself or anyone else in your household. This is one of the reasons we have 3 check signers set up. So if you're issuing a check to yourself, have the other 2 signers sign it.
And some schools have begun adding a 4th check signer when they have updated their bylaws. This is absolutely acceptable. If your school is having a hard time getting 2 people together at the same time to sign checks, you can add another officer. Some people have added their Ways and Means chair or their historian or their programs chair, something like that. You just can't add your secretary as a check signer, or your auditor.
Or your auditor, yeah, exactly.
All right.
All right.
That's a lot of don'ts, but that's all right.
All right. Petty cash or startup funds, because people call it 2 different things, but really it's the same thing. So anytime that you need cash for the beginning of an event, withdrawn from the bank by a written check made out to cash and then processed at the bank. And that check needs to be cashed by a signer on the bank account, because they will check for ID. That same amount that you pulled out for your startup cash will be counted out of the funds that you earned at your event and then posited back into the bank in a separate deposit. It's never okay at any time to keep cash on hand for these or for future events. You pull money out and then put it right back in again. Anything on that?
And you can pull out, you know, coins and different denominations. That's totally great, but it just needs to go right back into the account. So if you pulled out $200, the $200 needs to go right back in at the end of the event.
Yes, and it's recorded on the treasurer's report as well.
Correct.
All financial.
Perfect.
So, all right. So funding hospitality. PTA must maintain their nonprofit status as governed by the 501c3 code. The IRS allows expenses that are not directly related to the primary purpose of PTA if the expenses do not exceed 5% of the total budget. So what this means is that you can provide hospitality for association meetings, staff appreciation, and other events that might require refreshment or food or paper goods, certificates, that sort of stuff. You can choose to purchase non-alcoholic drinks or snacks, solicit donations from businesses, and you can store supplies to make coffee or punch, that sort of thing, store extra paper goods. Say on this.
This is really PTA
yes, I did.
PTA doesn't often put a number onto things, but this is one of those really important ones because this comes, I'm pretty sure, from corporate code. And so as you're looking at your whole budget, you need to make sure that more than 5% of it doesn't go into hospitality. And one of the ways that I've seen at a couple meetings lately that I'd kind of like to encourage people not to do is to have hospitality at executive board meetings. You know, I know that we're volunteers and I know that we're giving up a lot of our time to do this, but to have a lot of your hospitality budget go to feeding so few people, that's not really what we want to have people see. We want them to see that the bulk of our monies are going to kids and programs and making the school a better place. And I don't really know how we justify buying lunch every month for ourselves as making the school a better place. So I just want you to think about that as you move forward. Again, as long as it doesn't exceed the 5% total of your budget, it's not, you know, incorrect. I would just ask that you think about it. You know, you could do a potluck. You could sign up for snacks each month. You could brown bag it. But
meet at a restaurant.
Meet at a restaurant. Do that way.
Pay for your meal.
Right, but I would just ask you to think about that a little bit as you move forward. Again, once in a while, I think that's perfectly acceptable, but I would question doing it every time. So. That's just my 2 cents in there.
Like once in a while, are you talking like maybe like a holiday, the December
absolutely.
meeting perhaps, or maybe the last meeting, not a monthly thing, but a special thing?
Absolutely. A lot of people for their installation dinners, they have something special, and that's great and that's fine. Again, to thank our volunteers, there are several things that you can do. Most of them revolve around food, oddly enough. I think we enjoy that aspect of this. You can invite anyone on your board to come to either of the 2 district brunches. They have a winter brunch or a spring brunch. We at council have an installation dinner where the unit would pay for a lovely meal for their volunteers. We also have honorary service awards, which are through the state. And the great thing about those is they get a beautiful certificate and you can also purchase a pin for them to wear, which I love wearing mine around. But all the proceeds from that go directly into the California State PTA Scholarship Fund. So you're helping kids go to college. So that's a really great thing to do. And you can do honorary service awards for volunteers, for teachers, for administrators, for outstanding community members. And the highest honor that you can get is the Golden Oak Award. Which is something I'm totally working towards, just so you know. I've made it my mission to get that before I leave PTA. But those are ways we can thank our volunteers that are absolutely appropriate budget expenses. Like Liza's saying, a holiday party, as long as there's no alcohol, or an end of the year party, those are totally fine as well, as long as they are within your PTA budget and approved by your association. You have to ask them before you do this. You can't just go to dinner and give them the bill.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. If you're doing something, maybe for fundraising, you're all getting together and you want to serve food there, things like that have to be approved beforehand.
Right.
All right. So what to provide for the auditor? Because often when I'm doing an audit, I don't get everything I need and I have to go back to the treasurer and say it. So this is just a quick note for you guys. So the books are audited twice a year. One is a mid-year audit, which is done after December 31st, and the other one is the end of the year audit, which is done after June 30th. So the list of things needed is the bank statement for all the months the audit is covering. So if it's the mid-year audit, it's going to go, from July 1st, 31st. And if it's the end of the year, it's going to be January to June. Or in the very least, the check stubs. Ledger, which is anything on your QuickBooks or your Quicken or your Excel that you've been tracking each and every that bank ledger is that same thing that's going to go into that bound book that Heather was talking about earlier. Cash verification forms with receipts attached. The payment authorization forms and receipts and invoices attached. Canceled checks, I need those as well. Treasurer's reports, minutes of all meetings, the last audit, and if it's for the end of the year, the annual financial report.
And that's one of the reasons why we require the annual financial report. Not only it's required for the audit, but it makes doing your taxes a breeze. So if, as your treasurer's final act in June, if they would compile the annual financial report, and there's a really great format for it on capta.org, if they would complete that and pass it on to the next board, you could actually start doing your taxes July 1, even though they're not due till November, because it just reflects all the business that you did through June 30th. So if that annual financial report is done, then that is all you need. Correct me if I'm wrong, Liza, but that is really all you need to do your taxes.
Yes. Of course, if you bring in more money, it's a little bit more. But if you bring in under $50,000 a year, it's all you need. It's just a simple 2 numbers from your financial report. If you do bring in over 50,000, it is a little bit more numbers, but it's not much harder.
Awesome. The other thing I'm hearing from a lot of units is the banks are now charging them for canceled checks. This would be one of those operational expenses that should be done, because it is really important to help complete the audit and to make sure that we're doing things in a fiscally sound way to have those canceled checks. So if your bank says, well, I'm going to stop sending them to you, you now need to pay us $5 a month or $10 a month to print them. It is one of those things that is just a basic operational expense that you do really need to make sure that you do for the good of your unit.
Yeah. And in the case of our unit with our bank account, I can actually go in and print them from the website itself, which is a little tedious because I have to go check by check. But in that case, I'm not being charged for the cancellation. I just print my own. It's an option too.
And that's a great option. Yeah, that's a great option.
Yeah.
So if you can save yourself a little bit of money, but just pay for a ream of paper and some ink for your treasurer, then that's a great thing. Awesome. And Erin, can you talk about why they need to have the last audit for the new audit?
Yeah. it's important to have the last audit because you need to know where the last audit ended, provided that the audit was correct. If your last audit was correct, or at least the balance was correct, they need that ending balance to begin the audit to continue forward. It'd be just same as your treasurer's report. You're going to, whatever your ending balance on your treasurer's report, that's going to carry to the start of your new balance on your treasurer's report. So same thing with the audit. That ending balance will carry on to the new audit.
Awesome. Another thing that I wanted to mention about audits really quickly that a lot of our units, I don't think they realize, is anytime a check signer leaves your board, so your president, your treasurer, whoever that third person is, whenever a check signer resigns or moves or whatever, your books freeze immediately. You need to call me and council comes in and does an audit. The reason being, we want to start off the check signer with great books and make sure that everything is on track. So let's say that your president gets a job offer and is moving. That's great for them, sad for us because we'll miss them. But what happens is, as soon as their resignation day comes, the books stop. No more checks can be written. Everything freezes. You get your books to me or to our council auditor. They do the audit, and you cannot write any checks or do anything with your account until those books come back audited. So you could potentially have 3 audits in a year if any one of your check signers leaves. And you do the process just the same as you do every other audit. You still present it to your executive board. You still present it to your association, just to be completely transparent and completely above board that, you know, our president resigned. Here is the state of our books at the time of her departure. And now we're going to move forward with this new person as our president.
Exactly.
And Erin right now is really pretty fast about getting them back. So that's great. But if it's a busy season, it might take a couple weeks. So you need to think about that. If you know that you're going to have an officer resign, you need to kind of have all your ducks in a row before that happens.
Well, and I will say that the process is a lot faster when I get all the documents, you know, that are listed here or that we need. When I'm missing stuff, it makes the job longer. Makes it harder.
It does for all of us because we're always moving paper back and forth.
Yep, yep.
All right, well, we are rocking and rolling with this. We are ahead of schedule, and I love that. So at this point, I don't see any questions on the live chat, and I have been checking my phone, so I don't see any questions. If there's anyone out there in the universe who has a question, if you want to type it in the comment box, I would love to answer that for you. Ladies, anything else that we need to mention about finance while we're all here?
I'm sure there's something, but at the moment, nothing's coming to mind. Yeah. I mean, we're always, I don't know, I'm sure Liza is too, but we're always available if anyone has any questions.
I am. Shoot me an email, text message. I'm available. If anybody has checks that need to be picked up, I am more than willing to go pick them up to get them to us in time. I'm here to work with you guys. As anything needed, I'm here for you.
And I think the most important thing to remember with money is transparency, because sometimes PTA is this mysterious being, and you know, people don't really understand how our meetings work and how the process goes. But especially with the money, we need to be really clear and really open and very transparent. So sometimes parents see a check and they don't understand what it is. Treasurers, please try not to take this personally. They're just, you know, they only get to see this once a month or once every other month. You guys are living with it. So if a parent is asking a question, I don't think it's coming from a place of being critical. I think it's coming from wanting to understand better what you're doing and how you're doing things for the school. So as long as our treasurer's reports are clear, as long as you as the treasurer are kind of able to give your board a sense of the budget and where we stand, You know, you don't have to give a budget update every month, but if you could at least give a budget update every few months or at least once a quarter, where you talk about the difference between your actuals and your budgeted amounts so that you can adjust as things go. That budget is a living, working, breathing document, so it will change over time. You might have a great fundraiser, you might have a lousy one. You might get this amazing opportunity to have a really cool assembly, and that might change your whole assembly budget. So those things happen, and they're perfectly fine as long as the association is asked permission before it happens. So just keep those things in mind as you're going through your year, because you know what you budgeted might not pan out the way you thought it would, and that's fine.
Well, and that's my biggest thing. That's the thing I say through all my trainings. And if anyone has ever been in a training with me, you'll hear me say it a lot. Transparency. You're not hiding anything. You're showing everything that you can show and detailing as much as you can. So.
Awesome. Well, I am not seeing any questions. I'm even checking my email really fast to see if anyone has emailed me. They have not. So I will, let me escape out of here, and go back to, oh, I can't find myself now. I've lost it. Oh, here we go. Ha ha ha. Oh no, I've lost it. Well, I've seriously
You're still there at least.
Up. Can you see me or just my flowers?
Don't you have to go to... I don't know.
I've lost myself. I think this is like one of those, oh my gosh, I think I'm going to play the next, I'm going to play it over again. I'm going to hear us. Where did I go, Ron? Thank you to my tech support husband for helping. Oh, there. Okay. All right. Look at this. There we go. Oh, and he even makes a cameo. Awesome.
And quickly leaves.
I know, he runs away. I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. As always, if something comes up and you have questions, Erin's available, Liza's available, I'm available. You can email us. So thank you so much for taking time to be with us tonight. Our next Deeper Learning series is going to happen in November, and we're going to be covering nominating committee, elections, and recruitment. So it's one that you won't want to miss. So we are so excited that you guys joined us tonight. I want to thank the amazing Erin Hester.
Thank you.
And I want to thank Liza.
Thank you, and good night.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being with us. And we hope that you have enjoyed our Deeper Learning Series number 2 on finance.